Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to reveal today how the American National Standards Institute and the American National Credit Board rips off taxpayers of millions using loopholes to overpay board members like NIST and the Department of Homeland Security. NIST sitting on ANSI's board, which is part of the Department of Commerce. You had a Gordon Guberman, $120,000 at the time. It was considered, now it's considered various because I exposed a factor of a royalty payment. It was be considered a royalty payment up till about, I think, 2018-19 on their 990 tax report. A royalty payment is a payment that may or may not be taxable under the guidelines of the IRS. Even the IRS doesn't know. You also have the Department of Homeland Security. Department of Homeland Security also sits on ANSI's board with a Mr. Phil Matheson, making $262,000 in 2017. Mr. Randy Doherty, who used to formerly be the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the IAF, and also the principal on the IAF tax form, was being advertised as the vice president of ANAB on the Department of Homeland Security's website, while his counterpart, who he handed over leadership to, the International Accreditation Firm Incorporated in Delaware, a Zhao Jinwu Communist National, was the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, and he was the chairman at that time. 2 years going into it. How do we know about espionage? We don't. DHS has been hacked many times to Sunday. In fact, the Chinese National has. The China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7, which mandates espionage. He was also caught on camera in the Wuhan lab issuing a laboratory certification for the Dial Level 4 lab. Sitting on ANSI's board is the CDC, NIH, FDA, etc. Problem is that the CDC came out with a training document in May of 2019, right after COVID broke. And it's terrible. And the only one in this training document the CDC had as a representative of the China laboratory arena is Wuhan, China. So I'm going to read this to you. This is an article. It may be put out there in the press. It was out there in the press many years ago, but we redeveloped it and redefined it. And here it is. To 2023 consistencies. ANSI-ASQ-ANAB drops to new low, insulting normal working people and those who love America by paying board members like NIST and also the Department of Homeland Security amounts of money for next to no work. It is unarguable the fact quality certification associations, ANSI-ASQ-ANAB board members, make jaw-dropping amounts of money that they don't pay taxes on, royalty payments, working just 2 hours a week, possibly. The association has tried to keep this concealed, but quality expert Daryl Guberman has done his utmost to raise awareness of the troubling facts, using his YouTube platform to continue to break down the long list of issues with ANSI-ASQ-ANAB, the IAF, and ILAC, and why the association is very likely not just unethical when it comes to finances, but also national security. Guberman is doing his best to make quality registrars trustworthy again. The articles are in the description below this video. The thing about it is that in 2019, I exposed an impropriety in laboratory accreditation. The reason why is I heard of Pamela Sale, who at the time, and I think she still is, the vice president of quality certification for a laboratory and sits on ANSI-ASQ-ANAB. ANSI-ASQ-ANAB also own ASCLD lab that also sits on ANSI's board. She stated that from one laboratory to another, there are variances. I came out with the factor that a certain quality organization, A2LA for laboratory, sits on ANSI's board. One of their employees wrote underneath the video saying, no, ANSI and ANAB are separate entities. I wrote back and said, no, you are incorrect, and I showed her. A Mr. Russ Cheney, chairman of ANSI-ANAB, called me up, left me a voicemail saying, half a nut, fuck you. Yes, he did. A chairman, no less. Those people who sit on ANSI's board are all guilty of association, and that is what they say, like Jim Tassett from Lockheed Martin, the CEO. That's like him saying, half a nut, fuck you. Andrew Mayorkas, there he is in our government, okay? That's like him saying it because, of course, his organization is sitting, I think he's the DHS, his organization is sitting on ANSI, also getting compensated. That's like the Department of Commerce. saying the same thing to me because Russ Cheney is the chairman. Pamela Sale said, again, from one laboratory to another, there are inconsistencies and no protocols. Finally, okay, in 2022, I applied for director at large. I figured that I can go in there and assist as a newbie on the board so that I can represent the small mom and pop shops, because you look at ANSI's board, they don't have anybody less than $1 million up there representing the organization. But the mom and pop shops are 100% feeding the larger OEMs, the corporations, etc., their parts and all that. So I applied, but guess what? You know who the nomination chairman was? No other than half a nut fuck you, Russ Cheney. Now I wrote a letter, okay, doing the right thing as the CEO of my business. I wrote a letter to Mr. Joe Bathia. This is one of the reasons why I think he's quitting, because he's retiring this year after 20 years of fucking our government and also corporations, but he's in bed with him, so you can call it fucking, I think. I don't know. I hope he's using a condom. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, I apologize. The condom's probably certified by an ANSI standard and it breaks. Anyway, by the way, fuck is a quality term. When you're going down in a plane that has fudged documentation and the wing falls off, you say, we're fucked if you have time. That means the quality is no good. So what happened is I asked for an apology, never gave it to me. Again, I went down there, I picketed them in October of 2022, and I never got an apology. I wrote him again this year because it's a year anniversary. No response. I guess because he feels he's sneaking out the door in December of 2024. Joe, you're not sneaking out. We're gonna keep on hammering you. And by the way, if you think that any of this is defaming the public or Joe or whatever, I can say kiss my tuchus, and that's a fact, because they are involved. ANSI is involved with the Department of Justice. They sit on ANSI's board, the FBI, where Christopher Wray always says we must maintain vigilance over China. Between 2015 and 21, ANSI and ANAB sat on the IAF right over by Iran and Pakistan, who said that we assisted, Iran and Pakistan assisted the terrorists of 9/11, harbored Osama bin Laden. You have Nikki Haley, who during that time, she was a UN person that represented the United States. She said, we must not finance Pakistan anymore. Yeah, that's a bullshit story. Now she's running for president. She used to sit on the board of Boeing. What does she know about aerospace? I don't know. Maybe it's the champagne glass, the aerodynamics of the champagne glass, or the golf clubs. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to continue on. I never got an apology back. The organization wouldn't allow me on board because you know who was the nominating chairman? Russ Cheney. Oh my God. So they perpetuate shit. Joe Bathia is in bed with all of these people. I asked for an apology, never did. In fact, in 2019, they sent a shill after us that represents them, but they don't want you to know that they represent. I figured that they sent this guy after me, and we won. He walked away from the case, okay, down in Tampa. He walked away from the case. Well, what do you want? He filed bankruptcy in 2016. I'm not going to mention his name because he's such a malcontent, he will try to come after me. And I don't want to even bother with the bullshit again. He walked away, and I won. You have Randy Doty, who stated, and I quote, I respect him. I know him best. He is a force. He's a force to be reckoned with, and he is the captain of accredited certification. That's a relationship. Unbelievable. We're going to continue on. A look at the tax report of 2022 shows that how ANSI gives their board members royalty payments, and also it's considered various now. Change the term to various, which are non-taxable and amounting to many hundreds of thousands of dollars, each for only 2 or 3 hours worth of work for a year. This is enough to make a person's skin crawl who cares about America and the quality standards and companies are held. We only can guess they aren't investigated. Why? Because they have the FBI on board, CDC, DOJ, all the rest of that. They're not going to get investigated ever. They're made out of Teflon. ANSI-ANAB are so arrogant people in their inner circle. They have openly called royalty payments they give themselves as money laundering. Yes, we have a letter from a woman who used to work at NIST MEP. The National Institute of Standards and Technology Manufacturing Extension Programs, or partnership, whatever, is supposed to assist companies in 50 states to help manufacturing. We discovered, okay, that they get federal and state money where 64.85% of that goes to pay their management personnel and bonuses. A woman wrote us several years ago concerning an article we said to defund NIST, of course. And it's a long story, but I'm just going to say what the woman said is that from one not-for-profit to another, they used to jokingly in the office call it money laundering, meaning they'd give them money to borrow, they'd get money to borrow. NIST is a scam. NIST MEP is a scam. Oh yeah, and NIST has, I think, a company called GFox. It's for reputation. Like this video they'll try to take down, but no, unbelievable. We fought it, and we won the last time. We'll win again. So, anyway. As disturbing as this already is, Guberman also reminds viewers of the new videos and also featured articles that are contained in the description that China and ANSI-ASQ-ANAB are intertwined and have a long list of other anti-American states and nationals. Guberman's founder and the CEO of Quality Certification Experts, Guberman PMC, is the opposite of ANSI-ASQ-ANAB and IF and ILAC. ANSI-ASQ-ANAB are underwriters for IF and ILAC, meaning any system and or product failure is on them. And they really don't want you to know it. We have them on several federal contracts stating that ANSI-ASQ-ANAB are an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum Incorporated in Delaware. Telephone number 203-556-1493 or Daryl, DARYL, TQRS @yahoo.com. I thank you.